In the era of clear products, everything from see-through phones to jelly shoes was clear. Why stop there? How about soda? This gaming console allowed you to play video games in a whole new dimension. How about eating an entire bag of chips without the guilt? Although these products sound so innovative and promising, millions of dollars spent by these corporations couldn't get it right. Here are 13 innovative products from the 1990s that failed. Be sure to watch till the end because could you believe we had electric cars 20 years before Teslas were mainstream? Crystal Pepsi. If it were available today, would you want to try a clear cola? Crystal Pepsi was introduced in 1992 as a caffeine-free clear cola that promised the regular taste of Pepsi without the dark cola look. This transparent cola was for people who wanted to be blown away by a new cola experience. The company invested heavily in celebrity endorsements and primetime advertising, convinced they created the next evolutionary step in soft drinks. It was initially a hit, with sales reaching $474 million in its first year. The problem was that Crystal Pepsi didn't taste like Pepsi. Even the company's manufacturing team told Pepsi's COO David Novak, "It's a great idea, and we think we can make it great, but it needs to taste more like Pepsi." David disagreed, and I didn't want to hear it. I was rolling the thing out nationally, and I didn't listen to them. Crystal Pepsi was discontinued in 1995, just 3 years after its release, although it briefly returned in 2016. Earlier this year, PepsiCo's Starry Soda posted a Facebook reel with over 2.5 million views that teased a comeback for Crystal Pepsi. So, anything is possible. Nintendo Virtual Boy. Have you ever played a game with VR headsets and accidentally hit your friend with the controller? You couldn't do that with Nintendo's Virtual Boy in 1995. It was the revolutionary 32-bit gaming console that promised to transport players into stunning three-dimensional worlds. This marvel was designed to deliver mind-blowing stereoscopic visuals that would redefine entertainment forever. Nintendo envisioned families gathering around this futuristic headset, taking turns exploring breathtaking virtual landscapes. Instead, players experienced splitting headaches, eye strain, and a monochromatic red and black color scheme that made them feel like they were in a Tron movie. The bulky tabletop design meant gaming required a chiropractor on standby. Nintendo didn't want the risk of being sued if you got hurt while running around with the headset. They released 22 games for the system, but quickly withdrew and discontinued it less than a year later. They quickly recovered with the release of the Nintendo 64 in 1996.
Yeah, this is fantastic. A very, very cool way to play tennis.
Frito-Lay WOW Chips. You know how you can't eat one potato chip? How would you like to eat the whole bag without any guilt? Lay's WOW Chips were introduced in 1998. These chips promised all the satisfaction of traditional chips without the nasty fat. Amazing, right? These miraculous munchies utilized Olestra, a synthetic fat substitute developed by Procter & Gamble, which provided texture and taste while passing through the body unabsorbed. Brands like Lay's, Doritos, Ruffles, and Tostitos launched WOW versions, targeting health-conscious consumers who refused to sacrifice flavor. It was a hit in its first year, bringing in $400 million in sales. However, it was all too good to be true as the FDA stepped in and required warning labels about abdominal cramping and loose stools. Sales plummeted to $200 million by 2000 as word spread about the unfortunate side effects of Olestra. You'd think that would be the end of the story, but Lay's rebranded WOW Chips to Light. Little did people know, this version continued until 2016.
Wow. Wow.
You know they're fat-free, only half the calories.
These are fat-free?
Talk to me, stock boy.
Wow.
Sony AIBO. Would you consider having a robot as a pet? The Sony AIBO was released in 1999. An adorable robotic dog that mimicked the experience of having a dog through cutting-edge artificial intelligence and personality programming. It featured advanced sensors, voice recognition up to 100 voice commands, and learning capabilities that allowed it to develop unique behavioral patterns for entertainment purposes. Sony envisioned AIBO as the ideal family companion, especially for individuals with allergies or those with pet restrictions. It retailed for $2,500 and had 1.5 hours of play on a full charge. AIBO represented the pinnacle of consumer robotics innovation. However, the high cost made AIBO a luxury item rather than a mainstream pet alternative. Despite garnering devoted fans and critical acclaim, sales remained modest, as it lasted through 2 generations in the US, while achieving niche success in Japan through 4 generations. Sony eventually discontinued AIBO, although the devoted community of robot dog parents continued to cherish their artificial companions long after support ended. Iridium satellite phones. If you complained about cell phone service in the late 90s, there was a company that offered crystal clear phone calls from anywhere in the world, from mountaintops to ocean vessels and remote deserts. Introduced in 1998, Iridium satellite phones was the global communication network that promised to connect every corner of the planet through 66 low-orbit satellites and hefty handheld devices. Motorola and partners invested $5 billion in creating this orbital phone network. It was the ultimate solution for international travelers, emergency responders, and anyone needing communication beyond terrestrial cell tower coverage. The phones cost $3,000, and we're not sure how much calls cost. Unfortunately, the devices were comically large, required clear sky views for connection, and competed with rapidly improving cellular networks. The company filed for bankruptcy just months after launch, making Iridium one of the most expensive communication failures and bankruptcies in US history. Ironically, the satellite constellation proved valuable for specialized applications, eventually finding new life under different ownership.
I'm calling you from Zion National Park and just testing out the phone.
Okay, perfect. Nice to hear that.
And it's working great, so thank you guys.
Coors Rocky Mountain Sparkling Water. When you think of natural spring water flowing from the Rocky Mountains, you think of Coors, of course. In 1990, Rocky Mountain Sparkling Water, a premium bottled water venture from Coors Brewing Company, sought to leverage its beer brewing expertise in the gold rush of the bottled water market. Coors executives believed their mountain spring water heritage and brewing precision would create the perfect sparkling water. The company invested millions in new production facilities and marketing campaigns emphasizing their Colorado mountain pedigree. Their packaging evoked imagery of pristine, flowing water through a forest untouched by man, and a soaring eagle. Then there's Coors on top of the label. People couldn't shake the association between Coors and alcohol, creating confusion about drinking Coors water. Established brands dominated shelf space. After struggling for 2 years to gain meaningful market share in the gold rush of bottled water, Coors tapped out. Technically, Coors does produce bottled water with a small amount of alcohol. It's called Coors Light. Boo.com. No, it wasn't a .com e-commerce store for Halloween costumes. Boo.com was intended to be the revolutionary online fashion retailer in Europe and America, promising to transform the way the world shopped for trendy fashions. This Swedish startup raised $135 million to create an immersive digital boutique featuring interactive product displays, personalized styling recommendations, and sophisticated avatars, such as Miss Boo, which drew inspiration from Bo Derek. However, the domain name Bo.com was already taken. The founders envisioned tech-savvy fashionistas navigating their virtual store like a video game, trying on clothes digitally before making a purchase. Unfortunately, the elaborate website required high-speed internet connections that barely existed in 2000, taking up to 8 minutes to load on dial-up connections. The company burned through $1 million a month, while customers abandoned their shopping carts in frustration. Within 18 months, Boo.com became another casualty in the dot-com era.
Burning through nearly £100 million worth of investment on the way.
Philippe Starck Hot Bertaa. How would you like your kitchen appliances to double as art pieces? In 1989, Philippe Starck's Hot Bertaa by Italian household maker Oldies was the avant-garde electric kettle that made you think twice about form over function. We admit it is pleasing to look at. This sculptural marvel, created by designer Philippe Starck, featured what appeared to be the tip of a bullet with a rod that pierced through it, serving as both a handle and a spout. Oldies targeted design-conscious consumers willing to pay premium prices for high design. Perhaps Thor or Tony Stark would like it. You'd have to be a superhero to survive it. It was awkward to pour, and the piping hot steam could melt your face at just the right angle. The kettle retailed for a whopping $300. Despite critical acclaim from design publications, sales remained disappointingly low, with only 25,000 units sold in almost 10 years. It was discontinued in 1997. Even Alberto Alisi admitted that the Hot Bertaa was a failure.
Tea bag. Let's see what it pours like. And you can see there the function is really not very good.
Rejuvenique Face Mask. What did Friday the 13th's Jason do to relax? Perhaps this. The Rejuvenique Face Mask, released in 1999, was a beauty device that promised to deliver professional quality facial rejuvenation through gentle electrical muscle stimulation. It featured dozens of electrode points designed to tone facial muscles, reduce wrinkles, and restore youthful elasticity through targeted microcurrents. Primetime 80s soap opera star Linda Evans, known for her role in Dynasty, appeared in infomercials showcasing dramatic before and after transformations, positioning the device as a cost-effective alternative to expensive spa treatments. Users were instructed to wear the hockey mask for 15 minutes daily, up to 4 times a week, to achieve remarkable results. Instead, most people found themselves looking like extras from a low-budget sci-fi movie while experiencing questionable beauty benefits. One user complained, "It feels like 1,000 ants are biting my face." Despite aggressive television marketing, the Rejuvenique became more famous as a punchline than a beauty breakthrough.
It's doing something between my eyes. Oh my god, it's so bad. It's like the fucking Chinese water torture, I swear to you. It's like, oh god, oh no.
Lifesavers Holes. Do you wonder what happened to the candy that went missing in the hole? You must be a real deep thinker, and in the 90s, Lifesavers had an answer for you. Lifesavers Holes was introduced in 1990 as a spin-off of the classic Lifesavers ring-shaped candy. This brilliant concept took the hole from Lifesavers and transformed it into tiny pellet-sized candies that supposedly captured the essence of what wasn't there. The marketing positioned these as the missing piece of the candy, finally giving Lifesaver fans what they were missing. They were available in their classic fruit flavors, mint flavors, and new fruit flavors. All was well until Lifesavers heard some cases of kids biting off the plastic packaging as if they were biting off the paper foil wrapper in classic Lifesavers. The company voluntarily recalled Lifesavers Holes because it feared its product could pose a choking hazard, especially with the tiny candy pieces. That was the end of the smaller and cuter Lifesavers Holes.
Try new Lifesavers Holes. Watch out for holes. They're gonna be everywhere.
Kellogg's Breakfast Mates. Finally, no more having to search for bowls and spoons and grab the carton of milk to eat a bowl of cereal. Kellogg's introduced Breakfast Mates in 1998, the all-in-one breakfast kit that aimed to shave a few minutes off morning routines by combining cereal, milk, and a spoon in a single package. Who needs to wash bowls and spoons when you can just throw them away? Just hand your kid a box of Frosted Flakes or Fruit Loops and let them feed themselves, while you, the parent, catch some more Z's. Although Breakfast Mates was found in the refrigerated section of the supermarket, the milk could be eaten at room temperature. Just what kind of milk is this? Whether it was the unappetizing idea of room temperature milk, $1.29 price tag, which was expensive at the time, sales were low after a year, and Kellogg's discontinued Breakfast Mates, learning that some breakfast routines shouldn't be tinkered with.
In Kellogg's Breakfast Mates, a bowl of Kellogg's cereal, milk, and spoon all in one, so they can make breakfast anytime.
Apple Pippin. Do you love Apple products? Perhaps you have an iPhone, a MacBook, or an iMac. Do you ever wonder why they don't have a gaming console? In 1996, Bandai partnered with Apple to introduce the Pippin. It was the ambitious all-in-one multimedia console that promised families could use Pippin for everything, from playing CD-ROM games to surfing the early internet and meeting their basic computing needs. The system featured a sleek design, wireless controller, and Apple's operating system. Apple projected significant sales in the emerging interactive entertainment market, competing against dedicated gaming consoles such as the Nintendo 64 and Sony PlayStation. The $599 price point positioned Pippin awkwardly between cheaper game consoles and PCs, while the limited Bandai software selection and monthly internet subscription failed to justify the premium cost. Steve Jobs returned to Apple as CEO in 1997. fewer than 50,000 units sold worldwide, Apple quietly discontinued Pippin after 2 years, focusing instead on its core computer business and preparing for its eventual triumphant return.
So we have to like fully boot the computer every time that we try to change something. Oh my goodness.
All right, this is looking more promising.
General Motors EV1. Can you imagine what the world would be like if electric vehicles had been mainstream in the 1990s? In 1996, General Motors introduced the EV1, the sleek, aerodynamic electric car that promised to revolutionize transportation while saving the environment. This futuristic two-seater featured advanced battery technology, regenerative braking, and a drag coefficient that made it more aerodynamic than many sports cars. GM positioned the EV1 as the beginning of an electric revolution. GM chose not to sell the vehicles outright, maintaining control through lease-only programs in California, Arizona, and Georgia. The company invested over $1 billion in developing this zero-emission marvel. The EV1 was not considered a failure by early adopters. When the lease terms ended, the company controversially recalled and destroyed most of the almost 1,200 EV1s. GM claimed the niche market wouldn't be profitable. This decision sparked conspiracy theories and documentary films, changing the narrative of the EV1 from a failed experiment into a martyred symbol of suppressed innovation.
The electric car is here.
There you have it. Did you experience any of these products? Were there any that we missed? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, here's another video about more failed products.